I'm going to be decorating my book. And I'm going to use a combination of different materials. I have some different little die cuts and some paper strips from Pink Paislee. Some match this paper line and some are from another paper line. Now the first thing I did was cut my paper to cover my coverall. Then I made this little die cut using my Sizzix and I inked it up. Alright, super easy peasy. The next thing I'm going to do is make kind of a little ruffly bannery thing with this strip of paper. So the first thing I need are some scissors. For some reason I can't find my good ones. And the next thing I need is some ColorBox chalk. So this is my favorite ink for inking stuff. And all I'm going to do is just rub it on the edges of the paper. Nothing super fancy. This gives a nice distressed feel, and I like how creamy the chalk ink is, and it's very opaque. So it's really nice for this kind of thing. Now the next thing I'm going to do is cut a notch in the end. It really doesn't matter how nice this notch is. I'm just going to cut like a V out of it. Doesn't have to be super even. And then now I'm going to ink into the V. And the nice thing about this ink is that it has like a little pointed end, and I can stick that right into the point. Again, neatness does not matter. The next thing I'm going to do is start making kind of S folds on this strip. And what that's going to do is create a pleated look. Alright, so I'm just going to very messily make my S folds. And now that I'm looking at it, I kind of like the other side better. But I'm committed to the pink, so that's what I'm using. Alright, so now I have all my stuff folded up. And again, it does not need to be nice and neat. Just kind of mush it down. Alright. So I have that there, and I have my trusty handy dandy glue gun. This is an AdTech glue gun. The poor thing, it's had a hard life, but it works really good. And what I like is that it has a fine tip, so I can put very little glue. It's great for buttons if I'm doing that. So, oh, and then it also has temperature settings, so I can do hot or cold. Alright, so let's put a little bit of hot glue on this. I know, I used to be like, oh, you can't use hot glue on your scrapbook stuff. And now that I've done a lot of sample work in classes and had things on trade show floors, hot glue is my best friend, especially on stuff like this. This book is going to fall apart from handling before it ever falls apart from archival this and that and whatever, so it's not going to last 100 years. Okay, so now I'm back and I brought some of my favorite Epiphany craft tools here. This is the round 25 tool. It's a large, almost 1-inch circle, the oval 25. Really cool, and they just came out with new charms that go with it. The round 14, which is great all around, all-purpose shape, and the scallop, which is super cute. So these are the Cabana vintage settings, and this little brown guy comes in there, so you can kind of see what he looks like. Now, what I did with this one is I took some mixed media inks from Clearsnap, the Donna Salazar mixed media inks. I think I used truffle, and I inked it up, and then I used some emboss gloss, and I put that all over it, and I put copper embossing powder, and then I heat set it. And you can see the embossing powder kind of bubbled up, and it has this glazed metallic gilded effect, and it actually darkens, the heat darkens the plastic. So it's a really cool effect. And these are exactly the same shape. So you can see on the back that it's gotten darkened just a little bit from the heat. Alright, so I'm going to use that little guy. And what's great about the vintage settings is that they match perfectly with the round 14 tool. So you can make all kinds of little charms and things with that tool. So I'll go ahead and glue this guy right here. Hot glue is perfect for these guys. But what's nice too is that the back of the vintage settings are kind of scored, and they have a texture so that they'll stick to glue dots and things like that. I don't know if you guys can see the texture in this, but there's kind of a texture on the back of that guy. What's nice too about the Epiphany Crafts Shapes is that I can make my stuff custom, and if I don't like it, it didn't cost me a lot of money to make that embellishment. So a whole pack of these is about $4.99, and it's 35 caps, bubble caps is what they call them. And what's really cool is that I'm just making my embellishments as I need them, so I don't need to buy a whole pack of brads and only like 3 and have to get rid of the other ugly ones. I can just make stuff as I need them. So I peeled my epoxy, I stuck it down into the machine and kind of pressed it to make sure it sticks to the paper. And I just centered it over design. Here you can see I have a little starfish. So once that's done, I'm going to take this little bubble cap or little insert and stick it in there. The nice thing is the new tools, this insert already comes attached to the lid. Now the older tools, which I have, that doesn't, but whatever, it's fine. It totally works the same. So after you have the insert in there, it has 2 little like places you can set it in on the side. Close your lid, and then you're going to press down with your palm. So this is just like a paper punch, and you want to hear that click. Once you hear the click, it's good to go. And sometimes people have a hard time getting these out. If you shake it, it's not going to come out. So one of the things I like to do is kind of press down on it with one hand, and then you can pull your little shape out with the other hand. So there you have your little epoxy shape guy. Alright, so I can set that in there and see what that looks like before I glue it all together. So I'll put a little hot glue. Now the beauty of the Epiphany Crafts Shapes is that the little bubble cap epoxy that you make is paper on the back, so you can glue it with whatever. But because I'm gluing this to plastic and it's on my cover and it's going to be handled a lot, I want to make sure that I glue it really, really well. Now the round 14 is super awesome, but the more super awesomer shape is the round 25, because this has a much bigger slot to put your paper in. So you can kind of play with some of these larger designs and get some cool stuff going on. I kind of like these viney things. And again, it's the same exact process as with the round 14. I will peel my epoxy off the sheet, stick him down into my slot, press to make sure it's in there, and that's a tip from my friend Brian Fogg over at Epiphany. Put my little insert in place, shut the lid, press to click. And again, if I'm having trouble getting it out, I can just press on the machine and pull it out. So now I have this nice big epoxy. And I kind of like to tuck these little guys behind things because they're just like peeking out. It's kind of fun. But I don't want him to get lost. I want to make sure that we can see him. So, you know, and these are just fun embellishments. So once I have it kind of where I want it, I'll go ahead and put a little glue on him and tuck him under there. And you can just keep layering the different epoxies. You can layer your vintage settings. You know, if I wanted to use one of these other Cabana ones on here, these would look perfect on my little cover here. And I think I'm just going to do a scallop circle next. So I will pull out my tool for that and some other kind of paper. See what else I got. And this is great because these things I'm making my embellishments from, these are the scraps for making my pages in this book. I mean, there's nothing like, you know, really making the most out of your supplies like this, you know. Now, say that there's a design I want and I can't get to it. Like I'm going through the viewfinder, I'm like, I'm not really seeing the part that I really wanted to have here in the middle. Just snip your paper a little, okay? You can make it happen by snipping the paper just a little so that you can get to the part that you want to have in your shape. Don't snip it too much though. I just cut it a little bit too much. And what's nice is you are using your scraps, so if you make a boo-boo, big deal. Because you're not even using this paper anyway. Cut a little bit more. And I like that these are so compact, like you could carry a bunch of them with you to a crop, and instead of having to bring your collection of 84,000 brads, you just bring this, one pack of bubble caps, and you're set. You don't have to be carrying around like 400 pounds of embellishments, even though I love my 400 pounds of embellishments. Alright, sometimes these ones that have the shaped edges don't want to stick down in there very good, but it's okay. So I put my little insert in, press down until it clicks. In the end, it all works out just the same. So I have my little shape. Oh, it moved just a tad. But it's okay because I'm going to be tucking it under stuff. I don't know where I want that one. And then, you know, it may not end up, oh, it's going to go right there. But sometimes this stuff may not end up where I thought I was going to use it, but I can still use it on another page in my book. So I have all my little cute stuff there, and this is just the cover of my book. I cut all these ribbons, and these are just lace and trims and just randomness. So the first thing I'm going to do, and this is what I love about coveralls, is you have this gorgeous finished book spine. Now you could decorate that, but who wants to cut paper that small? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my spine and wrap my lace around it. I want to make sure there's no twists on the inside. So I'm going to make sure this is laying nice and flat. Ay, ay, ay. Need to iron this lace. Alright, maybe I turn it over. Sometimes it just doesn't want to cooperate. The next thing I'll do is tie it in a knot. And I can either have it on one side, like towards the top, or I can have it kind of more centered. Doesn't matter, kind of goes for the look you want. I want my ribbons to be cascading from the top of the book. And I've started leaving them a lot longer lately because I just kind of like that fun, haphazard, whimsical look. Now these are ribbons and lace that I offer in my Etsy shop. So they're easy to find. Now you just take the ends and you can cut it with pinking shears or you can cut them diagonally. I like to use these Westcott scissors because they're really sharp and they cut through anything. Alright, so now I have this on my spine and that's all fine and good. It looks like it's going to an Easter party. That was not what I was going for. I want more to be crazy, beachy, fun. So the rest of my ribbons, what I'm going to do with them, this is like my favorite lace ever. It's a crazy coral, is I'm just going to start tying them in bows and craziness onto this string. You enjoyed watching me decorate the cover of my mini album, and I hope that you're inspired to use your Epiphany craft tools because you can really affordably make your own embellishments. All I had here were paper, a couple flowers that I just had, some ribbon from my stash, some lace, and some die cuts. I didn't buy any prepackaged embellishments, so it was really affordable. Alright, thank you so much for joining me.